बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। डायलॉग प्रोग्राम में आज मेरे मेहमान अफ़गानिस्तान के सदर के खुसूसी मुआविन मुशीर बराए अमन उमर दाऊज़े साहब हैं, जो कि पाकिस्तान के दौरे पे हैं। उनसे दौरे के हवाले से अफ़गानिस्तान में जो हालिया कोशिशें शुरू हुई हैं कि किस तरीके अफ़गानिस्तान में जंग का ख़ात्मा हो। आपका शुक्रिया।
Thank you, Tahir Khan, my brother. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. You are very kind always. I would ask first about your visit, in fact. What are you seeking, asking Pakistan? Especially, do you think Pakistan can bring the Taliban to the table? Because this has been a long-standing demand from the Afghan government. So do you believe Pakistan can do it?
Thank you once again. Yes, my visit is related to the peace process in Afghanistan and Pakistan's role in the peace process in Afghanistan. As you know, there are changes of situation. Globally, there are some changes of situation. There are new developments. The U.S. Strategy for South Asia remains, but in terms of its implementation, there are various statements. Regionally also, there are changes in relationship, which is giving us hope. All countries in the region are active. They want to contribute positively to the peace process. That includes Pakistan. We are witness to 2 visits of Foreign Minister Qureshi within 10 days. And his second visit, he started from Kabul and then he went around in the region. He gave us all the right messages in Kabul, and then when he went to different capitals, he also delivered the right kind of messages. He invited everybody to contribute positively to the peace process in Afghanistan. Now, our expectation from Pakistan is to stay the course, continue what they have started. This is positive. There's change in Pakistan also. We have a new government, and for the first time we see that the new government is on the same page with the Pakistani establishment also, which is a good thing for us.
I have seen your statements over the first few days when you are here, that you believe that the military and the civilian government both are on the same page, because there had been impression in Afghanistan that usually they are not on the same page about Afghanistan. Even in Pakistan, sometimes people say this. How you found this, that they are on the same page?
Yeah, well, in the past, like you said, in Afghanistan also people believe that the real decision maker is the GHQ. So talk to the GHQ. The government in Islamabad is representing GHQ when it comes to the Pakistan policy on Afghanistan. Now, the messages we get from both these centers are exactly the same. And when we meet one, we assume like we have met all.
So do you think that this is a positive signal for a solution to the Afghan conflict?
It is a positive development when these 2 power centers, which used to be 2 power centers, now it looks like it's one political power center. It's a good sign because our interlocutor becomes one source.
Okay. Now the Taliban, they have open talks with the Americans, direct talks since July. They have had several rounds of several meetings. Has the Afghan government approved these meetings? Because I still remember that when the Taliban opened office in 2013, so the then President Hamid Karzai Saab, he objected and the office was closed. You had been a member of the Karzai Saab government and you had been ambassador here. Now, the Afghan government has approved this process because there was sensitivity. Because maybe Karzai Saab was thinking that the American wanted to corner him, but now they are doing directly with the Taliban, not with the government.
Taliban always was putting forward an excuse that they wanted to talk to the Americans first and then talk to the Afghan government later. And the argument was that they have issues between Taliban and the US. one of the issues they were referring to was that it's the US that came and removed us from power. It is the US that took some Taliban leaders to Guantanamo and to other prisons. So the Afghan government thought since a year that maybe it's a good idea that Taliban are given that opportunity to express their grievances to Americans and talk face-to-face to Americans, so that that excuse or that obstacle, that stumbling block is removed. It was the Afghan government that gave permission to the US government to talk to Taliban. And in fact, last year, American Deputy Foreign Minister Alice Willis, she came to Kabul on one of the specific visits, which she at that time visited Islamabad also. She went around to different political elites also, and she consulted them. Everybody told her that it's a good idea, meet with Taliban.
So does the Afghan government satisfy that this process, the direct talk between the Taliban and the Americans, it would give some results?
So far, it is moving in the right direction. What Americans tells us that when they sat together face-to-face with Taliban, they told them that you said you wanted to meet with us first. So here we are. Tell us. And then Taliban share their point of views, and obviously they put their demands on table, and Americans share that with Afghan government and Afghan political elites. So as far as that level goes, we are happy. So far, we don't have any reservation. But then we were told, or the understanding between US and Kabul was that they will meet Taliban once, twice, or three times, and then Taliban will meet Afghan government face-to-face. That hasn't yet happened. We have not lost hope. In fact, our hope is increased that soon, inshallah, Taliban will sit face-to-face with Afghan government.
What happened? Because there were reports that the Taliban and the American would be meeting in Qatar on 9th of January and 10th of January, but it did not take place. Do you have any information what went wrong?
As far as our information is concerned, there was the Abu Dhabi event where Taliban met with 4 countries, but they didn't meet with the Afghan delegation. And then they decided that the second phase of that Abu Dhabi process will take place in the first week of January in Jeddah. And the understanding was that until then, Taliban will take permission from their council, from their leadership council, to meet face-to-face with the delegation of the Afghan government. But then Taliban told media in Jeddah. But then Taliban told media that they're not going to meet the Afghan government.
In Jeddah.
That's why Jeddah is postponed. And then Taliban unilaterally spoke to media saying that the US delegation is coming to meet with them in Qatar. But the US ambassador in Kabul, Ambassador John Bass, he issued a statement and said there wasn't any meeting like that planned in the first place.
What happened in UAE? Because there were reports, and even National Security Advisor of Afghanistan, he said that some people are there in UAE and they were expecting a meeting with the Taliban. And when he came back, I saw some reports from the Afghan official, some remarks from the Afghan official that more people, member of the Peace Council or some other people, they would be also going to UAE. And they were expecting meeting with the Taliban on December 17 and 18 when they were meeting with the Americans. What happened? Because this did not take place.
Well, first of all, a clarification. It didn't include the High Peace Council. We have High Peace Council.
Afghan official.
Yes, and then we have government negotiating team. Like we have Taliban, yes, like we have the Taliban negotiating team, we have government negotiating team. Now, the government negotiating team was informed that they should be in...
by whom?
By Americans.
By Americans.
That they should be in Abu Dhabi because the first day Taliban will meet with the 4 countries, and on the second day they will meet with the Afghan delegation face-to-face. So that's why the Afghan negotiating team traveled to Abu Dhabi based on advice from Americans. But then when they got there and when Taliban's position became clear that they are not authorized by their leadership council, and they cannot meet with the Afghan delegation. Then there was a bit of confusion, and unhappy words were exchanged between Khalilzad and Taliban, and between Pakistan and Taliban, and Saudis and Emirates also were very upset with Taliban, that they all let them down because they brought the Afghan government negotiating team, and now they are not meeting with them. So that's what happened. It was a kind of mismanagement and misunderstanding that we all learned the good lessons from.
Okay. And when you expect a meeting between the Taliban and the Afghan government can take place? Because now we are hearing that pressure is now increasing on the Taliban to sit with own Afghans.
Within months, inshallah.
Within a month?
Within months, inshallah.
Okay. And I have seen your remarks in several media that you are satisfied that 2019 would be a year of peace. How?
Yes, I am convinced that this is the year of peace. 2019 is, inshallah, the year where we would witness the signing of the final peace deal. And the reason is, like I told you, there is international consensus that Afghanistan needs peace, and this war must end, and must end soon. So international community is all on one page. That is unprecedented. Regional countries all want the war to end, and not only want in words, they all are taking action. We witnessed the Abu Dhabi event. We see a special U.S. envoy so frequently coming to the region. We saw the Moscow initiative inviting Taliban and the High Peace Council to an event. We saw the Tehran meeting that the Iranian invited Taliban for talks. All of them share one common goal, that they all are trying to persuade Taliban to sit down face-to-face with the Afghan government. Okay. There's no solution unless they sit down face-to-face with the Afghan government. But more importantly, there is a wide consensus within the Afghan society. Afghan political elites all wants peace and wants negotiation to take place under the leadership of the Afghan state. Okay. If you ask any Afghan, they say, what is the biggest problem? They say the war. What do you want? Peace. They don't say, I need job. They don't say, I need development. They all want peace. Now, Taliban are Afghans, and they're from that society. They have to respond positively to the Afghan public demand, which is very, very popular demand, and it's so wide across the board.
Okay. If it takes place after, you are saying that within a month, the direct talk between the government
within months.
Within months. What the Afghan government offers? What would be on the table for the Taliban?
Well, the Afghan government's offer is inclusive administration. An administration, a government that includes everybody, that does not exclude anybody, that includes Taliban as well. That's the offer from the Afghan government. Now, once we sit across the table, it's the Taliban who should put their demand on table. And the Afghan government will then take it to the Afghan people and take mandate from the Afghan people and then respond.
Okay. एक वक्फा लेते हैं, दोबारा हाजिर होंगे. वक्फा के बाद दोबारा हाजिर है. You say that the Taliban should make their demand, but some of their demands are very clear. And there were some messages during Eid from President Ashraf Ghani, because he also mentioned, not very clearly, but even the question of the foreign troops. And this is the Taliban main demand. Okay, this is a major question, but they are demanding the release of their prisoners, recognition of their office, political office, removal of the name of their leader from the UN sanction list. So is the Afghan government is positive in giving a response to them? Because the Taliban think that these steps could be great, major confidence building measures.
Yes, if those are their demands, they all make sense, and they all merit a very good discussion, including the withdrawal of U.S. troops, because we don't want U.S. troops to stay in Afghanistan forever. We are a free country, and we are responsible to defend it, and we are responsible.
But why messages are not coming from the leaders that there is no need of the foreign troops that should live like this?
There's no need for foreign troops to stay forever. Look back. In 2014, transition of security responsibility took place from international forces to the Afghan forces. Since then, the leadership of all military operation is with the Afghan National Security and Defense Forces. Now, and President Obama's strategy was that by the end of 2016, the presence of foreign soldiers in Afghanistan will come to zero. Only advisors and coach will remain, not the combat troops, not the combat soldiers. In practice, that has happened. So the presence of international troops at the moment is limited to a number that's needed for coaching and training of the Afghan National Security and Defense Forces. That's the ground reality. Now, if there is no need for that coaching and for that training, the rest would also go. So for us, as the Afghan state, the presence of the U.S. forces is not an issue. We can discuss it, and we can make it zero. The long-term partnership with the United States is an issue. That's an issue of discussion. We have a strategic partnership agreement with the U.S.
Yes, and they're the Taliban now, because their websites now say that if the Afghan government wants understanding with the Taliban, they should cancel the bilateral security agreement which signed by this government.
Well, we get confusing messages on that.
No, but they have on their website.
Well, they should come forward and sit across the table and tell us formally. And now that we give them an opportunity to meet face-to-face with Americans, they should say that to Americans also. They haven't yet told them. So, and the talks are for that purpose, that they come forward and they clearly put their demand on table. Mind you, that the BSA, the Bilateral Security Agreement, is valid until 2024.
Yes.
So there is a schedule for that also. It starts from somewhere and it ends somewhere. After 2024, there will have to be another loya jirga. And that loya jirga will decide the fate of the bilateral security agreement. And we haven't heard from Taliban so clearly. What we hear from Taliban and what they told Americans is that you have occupied our country and put an end to occupation and leave and give us a schedule of your departure. That's okay. We can discuss that.
Okay. And what is the problem for the Afghan government to allow the reopening of the office? The political office, yes, in Qatar.
Yes, there are one or two good conditions that we put. One of it is ceasefire.
The ceasefire. Okay.
Ceasefire.
Before the opening of the office.
Yes, before we take any other positive step, okay? They also have to take confidence-building steps, and one of which is ceasefire. You know how many Afghans are killed on both sides. Between 100 and 200 every day. So even if one day before we have a ceasefire, we will save the lives of 200 Afghans. We will save 200 Afghan families from being grieved. So this is our demand. You accept the ceasefire, we can give you a gesture. And all those ceasefire, opening of offices, come to negotiating table.
No, but
let's discuss it face to face as Afghans.
We have been hearing since long that there should be no condition. But how you can say that there should be ceasefire first And
no,
then
it's not a condition. I'm not putting it as a condition. They have demands, we have demands. Our demand is the demand of the people of Afghanistan. People of Afghanistan don't want to be killed anymore. So they should respond positively to a ceasefire.
Okay. And you mean not only this office issue, but also their prisoner. Is there any progress on the prisoner? Because Taliban always say that the main issues before the formal talks are when they are mentioning the prisoners. Is there any progress on this issue to release the Taliban prisoners?
We have a suggestion to Taliban. They should accept our suggestion. Let's appoint a joint commission to assess situation of prisoners. How many prisoners are there? Where are they? If you ask Taliban, how many prisoners do you have in the Afghan jails, in Afghan prisons, they can't tell us. So let's appoint a joint commission to make an assessment of prisoners, and then the president of the country will decide on their release.
Okay.
You have to do an assessment first.
But they say that there are almost 20 to 25,000 prisoners, they claim, and they say they have been discussing this with the Americans.
These, we heard some figures, but they are confusing. Some of those names that they mentioned, they are nowhere. So that's why we suggest a joint commission, joint government and Taliban commission, to first assess where are those prisoners, and then release them in orderly manner.
Okay, but no, my question is there any progress by the Afghan government on these demands? Because they are not major demand. The ceasefire is a major issue, although this is genuine. Because if there is violence, so of course violence would affect even the peace process. So, but I think if there is any progress on these, which I would say the minor issues, opening up the office is not a very big issue.
My brother, let me put it this way. We have a Policharchi prison. Huh? We can't release all prisoners there because they're criminals. There are all sorts of cases there. So we need to separate which prisoners are Taliban prisoners. How would we know? Because they may be Al-Qaeda. They may be Daesh, because they all are brought on charges of terrorism. And they have gone to a judicial system. They are convicted. Huh? We can't release them unless Taliban gave us a list. And that list usually comes up when we put a joint commission together to make an assessment.
And what do you think, because now this government has just few months, although the election are now delayed until July, do you think the Taliban should talk to the National Unity Government or the next government?
The National Unity Government, the current government, because the current government is very much in place, and in those state-to-state talks, in those peace talks, if you consider those kind of considerations, those kind of issues, that this government may be there for 6 months, so let's wait for another. Then that's how we have been waiting for peace for 18 years to come. We should not wait on some of the issues that we can immediately resolve, like the issue of prisoners. Why should they wait?
Okay. After we have a short break. प्रोग्राम में दोबारा हाजिर है. We will go a little back to Pakistan. What do you specific demand from Pakistan? And also with this question, do you think Pakistan has influence on the Taliban? Because I have seen your recent interview when you were here, that Pakistan still has influence over the Taliban.
Yes, Pakistan has influence over Taliban. because it's not secret that Taliban's leaders are living in Pakistan for the past 18 years or even more. A lot of them, when they appear in some of the international meetings, they travel from Pakistan to Abu Dhabi. Some of them did travel from Pakistan. So they have influence over them. And then there is historical relationship also between Taliban and Pakistan. Now, is Pakistan willing to use that influence in the right direction to persuade Taliban to come to negotiating table with the Afghan government? In the past, there were ups and downs in that. Lately, we see positive signals on that. We see positive symptoms in Islamabad that they are encouraging Taliban to appear in talks with the Afghan government.
But Pakistan is always now, they say, and now, especially now they say, they don't deny contacts with the Taliban, other groups, but they say they don't have much influence to force them to sit with the Afghan government. So how much do you think the Pakistan has?
We never expected Pakistan or any other country to force Taliban to come to negotiating table, because once you force a group, you might bring them with their hands tied up to a negotiator, but then they don't talk. They're not willing to talk. So that's why we use the word persuasion. We expect Pakistan to use their influence to persuade Taliban, to convince Taliban that it is in their interest, that it is in the interest of the region, and it is in the interest of Afghanistan that they talk face-to-face to Afghan government. Taliban may be thinking that they may find a solution without talking to the Afghan government. We expect Pakistan to convince them that that's not possible. The only way forward is that Taliban talk to the legitimate Afghan state.
And Pakistan also says that bringing the Taliban to the table is not its responsibility, but it is a shared responsibility, especially of those countries who have contacts with the Taliban political office in Qatar. So they always talk about shared responsibility.
Yes, shared, we agree. But Taliban's share is more than any other country.
Taliban share means
Pakistan's share in that responsibility is more than any other country.
And have you heard anything from Pakistani foreign minister and other officials you have met so far that they will be doing something to respond to your request?
Yes, not only that they will be doing, they are already doing.
They are already doing.
They are already doing.
Okay.
The fact that,
and is there any?
Yes, the fact that Taliban delegation in Abu Dhabi, some of them did come from Pakistan. So that was with cooperation, with persuasion, with facilitation from Pakistan.
And do you think, is there any progress? You say within a month.
Within months.
Within months.
Within months.
Not 1 month.
Not 1 month.
Within months. Okay. Do you think any progress has been made to achieve this goal, the direct talks?
Yes, we can see. We do see some very good signs. First is the Pakistan attitude. Like I said, Prime Minister Imran Khan, when he visited Turkey, this is what he discussed, that together we should make all efforts to bring peace to Afghanistan through a negotiated political settlement. And then when the UAE Crown Prince was visiting Islamabad, this was one of the subjects. And Foreign Minister Qureshi is trying his best to build that regional consensus along with all of us. So I go back to my earlier words. There are very good symptoms, positive symptoms that Pakistan is trying to help the peace process in Afghanistan.
So I can say that you are returning to Kabul with hopes, some assurances from Pakistan?
Not yet assurance, but hopes, good signs, good symptoms.
Okay. There is always an impression in Pakistan the Afghan political parties or leaders, they are not united on peace process with the Taliban, because here people say that Dr. Abdullah Saab on other side and Dr. Ghani Saab on other side. What is in Afghanistan? Do you think all parties, all sides, because there are different parties, different ethnic groups, some, I would also say the warlords, even the farmer, do you think that all people are on the same page?
When it comes to peace, all parties, politicians are on the same page, that everybody wants peace, and everybody wants peace through a negotiated settlement. There's consensus on that. But it's the beauty of democracy to have differences of opinion. When in Pakistan also, political parties have their different opinion on a number of subjects. In Afghanistan, it's also a democratic system. Parties can have their different views. But on the need for peace, and on the need for peace through a negotiated political settlement, and on the end game where we need to have a state system that's inclusive, that everybody is included, there's a consensus. I don't see anybody that who disagrees.
And all parties now are supporting the government initiative now, your policies, and are they supporting all these things, what is happening now?
Yes, government-centered and government-led initiative. All parties are supporting. Government-centered and government-led initiative.
Okay. And you met also Pakistan religious leaders, political leaders. You met Maulana Fazlur Rahman. And what you want them to do? And do you think that they can also, the Pakistani political and religious leader can also do something for the peace in Afghanistan?
We have met, and we will be meeting some of them. I will be back in my next visit. Those whom I have not yet met, I will go and meet with them. We want to deal with the nation of Pakistan, with the state of Pakistan, with Pakistan as a country. And everybody in Pakistan is dear to us. We want everybody to feel that we consulted them and we invited them to help us with the peace process in Afghanistan. I know it's a big system in Pakistan. I'm sure they have one way or the other, they consult each other. There are think tanks that is influencing the state opinion, that's influencing state policies. So that's why I go around. I will knock on all the doors that has influence on state policies.
What happened to the Pakistan-Afghan giant ulama conferences? Because when there was a delegation from Afghanistan, Peace Council and Ulama Council in September, I think, so there were some meetings here, and we were expecting that something more would happen. And I have heard, I'm not 100% sure, that because that meeting is not taking place, has taken place until now, which has also affected the bilateral, the new mechanism, which they call PEPs. So what happened? Any assurance, because the Pakistan Foreign Ministry was dealing with the ulama issue also?
Yes, we did raise it with the foreign minister the other day in our meeting, and they promised that they will speed it up. And today I'll be meeting Dr. Ayaz Iqbal to discuss Dr. Qibla Ayaz, yes, to discuss this particular matter. We think there are not any major obstacles there. It will take place soon, inshallah.
Okay. And nowadays, the American media, there were some reports recently and even yesterday that the Americans are planning to withdraw half of the troops. Is there any concern in Afghanistan about security challenges if the Americans go back?
There are two different issues. There is long-term Afghan-American partnership, which is broad. That is intact. That will remain. Afghanistan and America will remain as strategic partners for a long time to come. There is no concern about that. In respect to the presence of troops, which is part of the broader strategic relationship, we don't have any particular concern because they were supposed to leave by the end of 2016. but because of what happened in Kunduz, in other areas, and because of those strategic obligations that U.S. has towards Afghanistan and Afghanistan has towards U.S. troops' presence was prolonged. So when the right time comes and they leave, there is no concern, because the Afghan National Security and Defense Forces are grown up to the level that they can do the job. Of course, the training, the coaching, the enabling part of the strategic relationship will remain and will continue for a long time.
Okay. When you are here, let me ask also the recent Donald Trump statement about the jihad, because he even endorsed the Afghanistan invasion by the former Soviet Union. And after his remarks, I have seen a statement from the presidential palace that the Afghan government has sought some clarifications. And also, I have seen some report that even the Americans started investigation against this Trump, that why he has made this,
yes.
Because the whole world, even the whole Afghan nation was united on the jihad, and you were also that time part of Hizb Islami. Is any clarification received from Washington or not?
Not yet. We have asked for it, but it doesn't give us a great concern. You remember when Bush Jr. was running for office, for presidency, and there was a TV debate, and the anchor asked him that, sir, who is the president of Pakistan? Because they wanted to test his general knowledge. And he said, this is in Musharraf's time. He said, it's a general. He said, general what? He said, it's a general. So, knowledge about Afghanistan, knowledge about Pakistan, with a president or a presidential candidate in US, it has always been a question mark. Now, that's how he understood it. But it was not acceptable to us, so that's why we immediately reacted, and we rejected his remark, because people of Afghanistan rejected his remark. And clarification may be on its way, but what is important for us, my brother, is the day-to-day relationship. Inside Afghanistan, the U.S. has a commander, General Miller. General Miller's relationship with our Afghan national security and defense leadership is as it always was. It's not affected by any changes in the U.S. Whether President Obama came, whether President Trump came, that relationship is constant, it's intact, it's like a real partners. And then diplomatically, the U.S. has a very good ambassador there, and he's talking to us every day. He never says that.
Okay, let's talk briefly about the concern in Pakistan. Sometime people here, we hear from people here in TV debates from the government officials about the India role in Afghanistan vis-a-vis Pakistan, because they are concerned that Indians are using the Afghan territory against Pakistan. How you would, first, is this concern right or false? And so the first, please.
Thank you. Pakistan has always kindly agreed and endorsed that Afghanistan is a free country, independent country. It has the right to run relationship with any country in the world, in the region and beyond. We are grateful for that, for their understanding. And we have also cleared to them that you also independent country, you can have any kind of relationship with any country in the world. This is the norm. This is the global norm. Now, specifically about Indian security presence, that's where there were Pakistani concerns, that Indian security agencies might be using Afghan territory against the Pakistani interest. Very much the same, Iran has a security concern. They say the US presence in Afghanistan is a challenge to Iranian security. To both our dear neighbors, we tell that, give us proofs, give us documents, prove it, we will take action. We can't follow rumors.
Okay. And also another issue, because now after the fencing, there were some problems because Afghanistan has its own policy about the Duran line, which Pakistan is called as a border. What do you think? Pakistan still insists on the recognition of the border. So what is, because here the people think that this is also one of the major irritants between relationship.
You know, I have been involved in relationship with Pakistan for the past almost 18 years,
yes.
one way or the other. I never witnessed to a discussion where Pakistanis has demanded the Afghan side to come forward and recognize Duran line as the official border. I've never been witness to that. But the question of fences has always come up. And the argument was that if we fence the Duran line, the going back and forth of terrorists and of insurgents will be blocked. Afghan side's opinion was not that. They never agreed that fences will block the flow of terrorists and insurgents going back and forward. From our side, particularly, my opinion is that we should make that Duran line Europeanized. We should make it a free for all to go back and forth.
And Imran Khan has suggested that, because when he spoke to the nation on, even before he was sworn in on 26th of July,
yes,
he said he wishes an open border with Afghanistan, like you are saying that, like European Union.
Like European
So do you support this idea, Imran Khan?
Yes, yes, that's the way forward. That's how these two countries can live side by side as two very good neighbors in a peaceful coexistence, and trade and flow of people, flow of culture from one side to other at any spot that's possible.
Okay. And he also suggested, just briefly, if you can reply to me, that his government also plans to grant citizenship to those Afghans who were born here. Do you support this idea?
That's a global arrangement, that anyone who is born in any country is supposed to be given citizenship of that country. But Pakistan doesn't recognize that law. That international law, Pakistan has not signed it. So if Imran Khan wants to sign it, so that's his choice.
Last question, because you mentioned the people-to-people contact and visit. We in Pakistan feel that Pakistani leaders are going to Afghanistan, they're visiting, but they are not coming here. Afghan leaders are.
I'm here today. I'm not a leader, but I'm here today and I'm talking to you. I think that's not true. Many Afghans have now, I know many of the rich Afghans, they have purchased their houses in the beautiful townships in Islamabad. They are enjoying life. You know them. You know a lot of them. So that is not true.
But people want to see President Ghani Saab,
yes,
Dr. Abdullah Saab.
That should take place soon.
Okay.
That should take place soon. We want to see Prime Minister Imran Khan soon in Kabul. We want to see President Ghani and Dr. Abdullah frequently visiting Pakistan.
Let's end the interview with these hopes from Pakistan
you.
that the Afghans leaders should come here and Imran Khan should also.
Thank you. Welcome, my brother. Good to see you.
इसके साथ इजाज़त दीजिए. अल्लाह हाफिज़.